Hello friends, this is Boys Noize. I'm here with Last.fm at SW4.
Hi, this is Laurent Garnier and I'm here for Last.fm on Southwest 4.
Turn this fucking music up!
Still my favorite way is in the record shop because I still buy a lot of vinyl. Like yesterday I went to Rubber Dub in Glasgow. I discovered again so many good records, and it's always a big difference listening to music on a laptop, which I think is the worst in the world, or in the club. Like that's another thing. Like when you hear a new track in the club, that's great too because you hear properly. But also in the record shop, you have it's a way different vibe, and it's you know, you have a good sound with the headphones, and yeah, it's cool. I love it, especially in the record shop because, you know, even if you don't know anything about labels or producers, you can just go through stuff, pick up some records, and you can listen to them properly. You hear the bass, and you never hear any bass on the laptop. You know, it's like very weird. So yeah, record shop. Well, I think the scene and the crazy partying didn't really change much because you can still find crazy spots, crazy after parties and a lot of that. But the sound has changed for sure. Like when I moved to Berlin around 10 years ago, it was still pretty hard and jacking stuff, and you know, was just before Tresor closed as well, and there was a lot of like Berlin was always known for the rough, harder sound, and I'm from Hamburg, so Hamburg was more the house city and Berlin was always the techno city. Right now that sound is not so prominent anymore. There's Berghain that has proper techno, which is cool, but what I can see is a lot of deep house and more softer stuff, which is actually quite unusual for Berlin, but that's the sound of now. That was funny because last year I took some time off, so I was at home all summer, and he had a show in Berlin, and we've met before a few times on some gigs, and he's a very nice guy, so I was like, yo, do you want to come out to my studio, hang out? And in the end, he stayed 2 nights and he crashed at my place, and we were just having fun in the studio, playing around with a lot of sounds. And it was funny because he hadn't seen any of those analog gear I'm using. Like our thing was to make like really good tracks and not tell anyone about it. And so we did. We put out 2 tracks. We called it Dog Blood. We didn't say anything about it until we had our first show this year. So for I think 8 months or something, the music was out and no one knew it was us.
Have I helped? I don't know. I've kind of, I must have carried a few bricks to build a house, but you know, I feel I was very involved in fights to bring this music to a more noble way, which I think now we've succeeded. I don't think there's that much fights anymore. You know, I think we're there when you see the main stage playing techno music or electro or whatever. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was rock and roll. But without everybody else in the shadow, like the guys who were making the music, the record shops who were selling the stuff, and you know, the promoters and people which were involved but in the shade, we would never be here. There's a French DJ called DJ Deep, and he did a track a long time ago that had some kind of a saxophone or trumpet hook, but just a hook. And I absolutely love that track. And I said to, because DJ Deep is a really good friend of mine, and I said to him, I'd love to do, you know, a house track like this. And he said, yeah, go on. So I kind of found a bass, and then the funny thing at the time, I was touring live with my musicians, and then we used to have very long sound checks, really long. So I was really bored. So always I had my headphones and I was trying to find sounds and, you know, writing bass. So I wrote the bass of The Man with a Red Face while we were doing sound check, while the saxophone was doing his sound check and the drummer was doing his stuff. So I got that bass, and then that was in my computer, and then I met another saxophonist, and he came to my house and we tried to do a track because we were performing live at the jazz, Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland, and I wanted to have a proper jazz track. So that was the first age of Man with a Red Face. I did this track with just the bass and this guy, you know, freestyling live, but I was not really happy with it. So I went back in the studio and then I found the bump, 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 you know, that hook. And I met Philippe Nadeau, my saxophonist, and then he came to my studio and I said to him, it was one of my first time to work with him, and I said to him, listen, I've got this new thing and I would really want you to go freestyle, completely freestyle. So I put a pair of headphones on his head and I could talk to him, you know, while he was playing via the microphone. And I was with a sound engineer. And then I said to him, listen, what I'll do is I'll record everything, you just play. I just, you know, mix it live like this with the board and you just play. You just go with the flow. So this guy starts playing really funky and then through the mic I was going, you're shit. So I was going, you know, harder, and I was saying, you really, really, really shit. So it was getting harder and harder and I was saying, you're getting worse. So his play was getting harder and crazier. And then of course I was recording everything and it was wonderful. I was going, yo, fucking shit. And then he carried on and carried on. And then at one point I hit the stop button. And he, you know, he stopped like this, looked at me. He was bright red for playing for about 15, 20 minutes, completely red. And I looked at him and I said, I've got everything I need, you can go home now. And he went, you bastard. And he was, because he was so red, I said to him, and he was, because he was the man with a red face. Just because of my saxophonist, when he's blowing his thing, it's just becoming all red. That's it.